Good morning, my fellow Americans. Okay, listen. I know everything has been about politics these days, and I've been pretty clear on my stance on things. But a lot of people don't seem to know the history of Kamala Harris since she's been vice president. So, first of all, let's make one thing clear. All the agendas that Joe Biden was trying to push through our legislature, she promoted. She even said, Bidenomics is working. While people who were not starving during Trump were starving. And she was board of czar, appointed in 2020, right after Joe Biden became president. And she denies that flatly because she has no history, no record of having anything to do with the border other than to sign documents allowing more and more illegal immigrants into the country. You know what? This is the first time in my lifetime that people are not complaining about illegal immigrants who want to come here. They are fearful for the illegal immigrants that want to come here, because we see them all being ushered into camps. And I am not joking. If you're from Venezuela, if you're from Guatemala, Honduras, Mexico, no, you are going to end up in one of our camps. And now they are not even calling them homeless camps. They are calling them illegal immigrant camps. And they are put up all these big tents for mass numbers to live in, while they put up 6-foot and taller fences around these encampments, trying to figure out who is cartel, who is your average pickpocket, who is the guys running around that are part of gangs. They're trying to figure it out. But Joe Biden and Kamala Harris pushed so hard to allow so many to come in the country at one time, at a time where there are not even jobs for Americans. He hogwashed these people. I can't say brainwashed, because these people are just so desperate. Now, the gang members, they're desperate to get in here to do havoc. And there are some of those people that my heart goes out to, because they are actual families just looking for work and trying to get out of the civil unrest in their own countries because of their presidents, their dictators, or whatever you want to call them, not caring about the people, but caring about their almighty dollar in their pocket, how their living is going. I realized something back when, it had to be 1981, gas prices went up to 99 cents a gallon. And that was a real shocker for Americans. Our gas prices has held steady between 60 and 80 cents on a bad economy. But now, we're looking at 99 cents a gallon. And I'm 18. I got a job. I got a new husband. I got a baby on the way. And I can't afford anything. And neither could he, because pay scale was much lower. What I learned was bitch for a higher pay raise to start your job and watch the economy begin to crumble. Because if everybody across the board gets that pay hike, qualified or unqualified, doesn't matter, the cost of goods goes up, because those employers are also paying, out taxes. At least a smaller business. Now, with Bidenomics, we are seeing businesses, mega businesses, closing their doors because they can't afford to put an American employee in the shop. Now they can't even afford to put an illegal immigrant in there. So we're all SOL. And I'm telling you right now, people, you gotta wake up. You got to wake up. Everybody knows how I feel about Trump. He has done some really bad things in his life that I remember hearing about from when he very first ran for president back in the 90s, early 90s, late 80s. I remember those things that he did as a young man. But what I've seen him do as an adult, other than being a womanizer, which we've had thousands of those kinds of presidents, it seems. I don't think we've even had 1,000 presidents yet. But the point is, a womanizer or not, can he get the job done? Now, the biggest problem I saw him have was with the Senate and the Congress because of Democrats against him pushing through tax breaks for the average American, lowering rents and putting a freeze on what a landlord could charge you. He did that during COVID, when everybody was not working. In fact, a small percentage of the country was working. I was very lucky because my husband and 2 of my kids were considered essential workers. Oh, and one of my son-in-laws was considered essential workers. So they all got to keep their jobs. And for the first time in that economy, they were able to get close to full-time hours. This is not something new for you young people. This has been going on for a long time. Now, the elderly people understand, look, ideology in a young mind can be one of 2 things. A purpose that makes them great, or a purpose that takes them down to the depths of hell. Now, Kamala Harris and Joe Biden pushed predator on our kids. She went from state to state promoting that parents should not be told about what is happening with their kids. Parents should not be told that their children are being considered for drastic surgery that they're too young to legally agree to. This was Kamala Harris's promoting of Joe Biden's propaganda to get things where he wanted. Now, you all know I love my LGBT community, and I will fight for you again. I fought for you in the 70s. I will fight for you again. But I'm going to tell you right now, the Q plus the alphabet is a separate community all on its own, and it is your predators. And even they want to include bestiality. Think I'm joking? Check out the furries, Furrys, not IES. Furry community. And they are all over young America's internet. Now, there is a psychosis that comes along with being a furry. Because not only do these people rape animals and think that it's okay, the animal likes it, at least that's what they tell their crazy brains. I don't want to see this happening. I don't want to have to shoot some weirdo who has broke onto my property and is trying to rape my dog. But believe me, I will. Look, there was a reason those people were in the closet. It was for our protection from their debilitating mental illness. I'm sorry, I'm getting old and I'm upset. So I'm having a hard time getting my words out right. And YouTube has made it where subtitles are so hard to see. You can't read them and make sure what you're hearing is actually what's being said. So, YouTube has gone off the deep end because they promoted so much Q plus alphabet agenda to the American peoples that knew why those people were not allowed special privileges. And now I'm going to explain this to you guys. You young people need to understand this. Transsexual is someone, one sex that likes to dress like another. Okay, no problem. And a transsexual can also be a person who likes to dress like the opposite sex, but also wants to try hormone therapy and possibly full transition to a transgender. You're not a transgender until you have gone through the full process to change your gender. And young men and young women are finding out that going through the full transition destroys their bodies, even though they had a very slight chance of being able to have a child later in life, because they were put on puberty blockers without their parents' knowledge. Now this is grooming by the state and the government of your children for radical behavior. Get a hold of it. Get a hold of it. And now they're trying to push out racism, and they're trying to push out that religion, this religion is good, this religion is evil, this is good, blah, blah, blah. To me, they're all evil. And I was baptized 7 times to go from, one church to another because I moved. 7 times baptized, and that's when I realized this was not real. They're not washing away my sin with baptizing me. It's a pony show. This is not real. Just because I moved, I shouldn't have had to be baptized again to enter another church. I don't care what your argument is for it. It's ridiculous. And I really started to back away from my Southern Christian community, because not only were they very judgmental, and the Bible says not to judge lest ye be judged, they are some of the most harshest when it comes to making judgment calls. And they want to say they're better than this, and we don't belong in Israel. We don't belong in the Ukraine. We don't belong in those countries. They are currently fighting over what? Resources. When Russia, who gave the Ukraine back their independence after Chernobyl happened, because Chernobyl is actually in Ukraine's territory. Okay? So when he did that, after he thought that land would be useless for hundreds, maybe even thousands of years because of the Chernobyl meltdown. Nope. Those people managed to survive. Now, yes, they had to stop drinking the water. Yes, a lot of them got cancer. They started drinking alcohol and found that they could still use a lot of the plant life, and that certain things did grow good in the soil there. Well, by leaving that plant stand where it was, Russia was sure all their plutonium and uranium was safe. Now they want it back. And the only way the Ukraine is going to allow them to go in there and get those resources back and possibly even rebuild a plant there, they're fighting back. As far as the Israeli war goes, how long does it say it's been going on in your Bibles? So do not think this is a new fight. These are old old, ancient methods to get you to rile up for another country and not be focused on your own. And you're not. You're focused on, we got to save our relatives, we got to preserve the Palestine, we got to blah, 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 blah. But your country is dying. Dying. I love my American country. All of you know it. I'm very clear about it. I am open-minded with my thinking as far as sexuality goes. This garbage of pronouns and all that, that's just a tactic to make your own English language harder to communicate with. It's just added bullshit. Excuse my potty mouth. But I am an American, and I'm 60 years old, so I should be allowed to say what's bullshit. Like the little boy on the camera says, bullshit. Yeah, bullshit. He's right. Called it as he saw it, and he's a little kid. So, and he is. Do not put Kamala in the White House. You will have worse than Joe Biden. Your economy will collapse in every single state. They are using, Democrats around the country are using Kamala Harris to slip under the table where they're coming in and eminent domaining farmers, houses, some communities, because they want to run the water this way, or they want to do this, or that's not them want to do it, that are corporations. You want to see the corporate puppet? Kamala. You want to see the leader of the corporations? Trump. He leads the corporations, and he doesn't want us suffering. Why? You know, he's been through a lot of ups and downs with us in our government. The only fear that I have about Trump is when the 4 years are up, is he going to relinquish the White House? Because I remember what happened, as do many, many Americans, and that's why they hate Trump. He had no right to incite so much against us, the common worker, and the government and all its capitals. Yeah, it needs to be fixed. There is no argument there, none whatsoever. The government is broken, and I don't expect that Trump will be able to fix it in just 4 years. But I do think that with as angry as the people are with Democrats right now, he actually has a chance to make some changes. Now, if he wins this election, hoorah! Problem we're going to be facing in reality is who's going to come after him. What kind of person is the next running president going to be? People are finally getting the point. You don't vote for race. You don't vote for sexuality. You don't vote for Republican or Democrat. You vote for who is got the talking points and can even tell you how they plan to implement it. Well, a lot of Trump stuff that he's talking about now, he was trying to implement in the White House. And Joe Biden reversed a lot of what Trump did when he was in office, as almost all presidents have the right to do. So, who is going to come after Trump? My mother thought Trump was the Antichrist. She, every day, watching, she's dying and she's just wanting to know what's happening. She's watching all this garbage on television and YouTube about Trump and Trump and Trump and Trump. And she said, Angel, I don't care how senile Biden is, please vote for him. We don't need to have another term of Trump. Now, I disagreed with my mother because I was traveling back and forth 800 miles one way to care for my mother and go back and take care of my responsibilities with my home and my family that I had in Texas. So I was going back and forth every couple of weeks until the last year of my mother's life, when she was no longer offered to have nurses come stay with her at home while I did my traveling. So I had to stay here. I'm glad I did. The experience time I got with my mother was well worth it. If you think for a second that Kamala Harris is not going to cut loose worse than the child predators onto us, take a look at California. Take a look at Oregon. Take a look at Washington State. Take a look on the East Coast, where she's trying to push her defund the police and it's okay to steal from vendors and all of that. Her track record is horrific. Just look at what she did when she was holding the seat as Attorney General in California, which was not that long ago. And the fact that she lightened up the consequences for sexual assault, for human trafficking, for pedophiles to take and abduct your child. They tried to do this in Florida. Florida wised up pretty quick and said, whoa, 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 and they put the brakes on. They're still hemorrhaging citizens out of Florida because the housing market, because of all this, I need a higher wage, has gotten so astronomical that nobody can afford to bring in goods, nobody can afford employees. Do I think minimum wage should be raised? I have an unpopular opinion. No, I do not. Because I know the consequences. And it's not a trickle-down effect. It's like somebody opened up the floodgates. American youth, especially, because people my age already know from years of living under the oppression of our own government through Democrats who get up there on the podium, talk about what they're going to do for us, and then they don't. Their minds focus on their personal agendas. A country is not about your personalness at all. It's about a whole bunch of people. And from what I understand, in America, it's like 1 billion people already. Especially with the new influx of illegal immigrants that are going, what the hell did we do? Why did we come here? And believe me, I'm kind of watching the border to see who's trying to get out of America right now. Because people who brought their families here are finding out there's no jobs, there's no great pay. DEI, you can't get a job unless you look like Bozo the Clown and are screaming hate to everyone who is not you. They're like, what did we leave Venezuela, Guatemala, Honduras, and Mexico for? At least they have some hold on this group. They're considered mentally ill. And they are. And they butchered their own bodies under that mental illness. Used to be if you had a child who cut themselves, and a lot of them do, that would cut themselves, you knew you were dealing with a severe depression and instability in the brain. Now, our psychiatrists aren't trying to get to the root cause and help this person come out of this. They're all about, here's your pill, this is your antidepressant, here, take this one because you're going to get permanent tics, here, take this one because you're going to have muscle loss, here. Don't buy into it. If it's got a PhD, look for a student. If that therapist has a PhD, look for a student, because they're trying to build up an ideology of how to help you, not what they're taught in school, that there are drugs to deal with this. We don't have to deal with the real issues. You ain't even got to hear them anymore. You don't have to even talk. A psychiatrist is no more than a doctor without a scalpel. You're lucky if you get an hour to work on your issues. And it can't be that way. That's not helpful. That's not useful. That is just more of the same, what would you call it, conveyor line of people. That's it. And drug companies love that. You know they do. And they don't care what their drugs actually cause. They don't care what their drugs actually do, even though they put it in their own disclaimers. Give us a chance. Give Trump another chance, so that when the next president that's running in 4 more years, you can kind of read through their BS. Common sense, people. I love y'all. American Granny out.